Good morning, and it's Friday, and a very warm welcome to the Vicarage here at Penn. Hoping you are cheerful and well today. Hope you have a good weekend planned ahead. We have our first wedding for ages this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to that. Met a lovely couple last night, and we're really looking forward to Saturday. It's a very exciting day. Have a wedding at church again. It's really, really good. The other thing is, we're looking forward to services in church, and we're holding service this weekend at 5:30 Saturday night, 8 o'clock Sunday morning, and 10 o'clock Sunday morning. And we'd love to see you if you'd like to come. There's been a slight change in a couple of things. Firstly, face masks. The latest advice is that we are strongly advised to wear one. So if you have a face mask, do please bring it and do please wear it during the service. The other thing that's different this weekend is we're going to be having communion for the people as well. And so if you come a little bit early to the church, we'll run through the protocol, how it's going to happen, so we can do it safely and happily, so that'd be good. So really looking forward to the wedding this weekend and also the services. And if you are free, we'd love to see you and see you at church. That'd be great. But wherever you are, hope you have a good weekend. And so our reading for today. Now Jesus, we're picking it up in Luke's Gospel. Jesus is already in Jerusalem. He's been there for probably 3 or 4 days now. He's been teaching people, and the crowd have been loving him, and the leaders have been hating him, and he's been answering questions and so on. And this is the point now. We're getting towards the end of the week now, when things are starting to really hot up. And so I'm reading Luke's Gospel, chapter 22, and I'm going to read you verses 1 to 13. Now the festival of unleavened bread, which is called the Passover, was near. The chief priests and the scribes were looking for a way to put Jesus to death, for they were afraid of the people. Then Satan entered into Judas called Iscariot, who was one of the 12. He went away and conferred with the chief priests and officers of the temple police about how he might betray him to them. They were greatly pleased and agreed to give him money. So he consented and began to look for an opportunity to betray him to them when no crowd was present. Then came the day of unleavened bread, on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. So Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and prepare the Passover meal for us, that we may eat it." They asked him, "Where do you want us to make preparations for it?" "Listen," he said to them, "when you've entered the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him into the house he enters, and say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher asks you, where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' He will show you a large room upstairs, already furnished. Make preparations for us there." So they went and found everything as he told them, and they prepared the Passover meal. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So like I said, we're getting towards the end of the week. It's now Wednesday, and so the second half of the reading is certainly on Thursday. So we're getting towards the time within a day or so of the death of Jesus. And as I say, things start to really hot up. But what I want us to look at this morning for a few minutes is to reflect on the character of Judas Iscariot. I mean, ultimately, we know that Judas betrayed Jesus, and as a result, the word Judas, calling someone a Judas, has been synonymous with betrayal ever since. But what did Judas do? Well, the authorities were looking for an opportunity to find Jesus. They couldn't grab him in front of a crowd because it might have inserted a crowd, might have made a riot or something. So they simply looked for an opportunity to find Jesus when it was quiet. And Judas's role in this was basically to give away Jesus' position so they could arrest him when there was hardly anyone around. And that's the what Judas did. He betrayed Jesus by giving his position away so he could be grabbed. That's what Judas did. I suppose the more interesting question, though, is why? Now, ultimately, we don't know, but there have been various theories, and I took a few out with you this morning, and you can make it your mind what you think. Theory number 1 is that it was prophesied in the Old Testament, therefore it had to happen, so Judas did it. Now, that's a theory I've heard said before. It's quite interesting. It's a little bit hard on Judas that he never really had any choices about it, because it was kind of written in stone before he started, but nonetheless, that's a theory. Theory number 1, you might say, is that the Old Testament prophesied it had to happen, therefore somebody had to do it, therefore Judas did it. That's one theory. Theory number 2 is that Judas had basically always been a bad person from the off. He'd been a bad apple he'd been a wolf in sheep's clothing, you might say, from the very, very beginning. That from the very beginning, Judas had always been a wolf, as I say, in sheep. He looked like a disciple, had been a disciple, but actually he'd been a baddie from the start. That's one theory. And John's Gospel sort of veers in that direction, because it talks about times when he pinched money from the treasury and that sort of stuff. That's theory number 2. Theory number 3 is actually he'd been all right most of the time, but when he came into round about this time, As Luke's gospel has it, Satan had entered him. So, as I say, it'd been all right to this point, but at this point in the story, Satan had entered Judas, which is to make him do what he did. That's theory number 3. So it was kind of Satan that did he through it. Theory number 4 is that he did it for the money. I mean, there were thought to be 30 pieces of silver, and they agreed to give money, but that he might have done it for the money. I have to say, though, read Luke's gospel carefully, and I don't really think that's very plausible, because you get the impression that the money is kind of a bit, he wanted to do it, but they kind of agreed to give him money for it, sort of thing. But anyway, theory number 4 is he did it for the money. Theory number 5 is, interesting, Judas's background could cause him Iscariot, which means that he came from a town in Judea. So whereas all the other disciples had all been kind of Galilean, that he was the only one there that was kind of Judean, which may have meant that he was kind of a bit more on the strict side, and that he actually wanted Jesus to make a kind of military right to throw out the Romans, and that had been always his intention, that he hoped that Jesus was going to be the man who'd boot out the Romans, by force. And the theory goes that Judas was kind of waiting on Jesus to do something like this. He was in Jerusalem. Jesus simply wasn't doing it that way. And so he got Jesus arrested to try and force Jesus' hand to kind of bring everything to a head. So, various theories for you. Was it just fulfillment of Old Testament prophecy, so it had to happen, so it happened? Could it be that he was always bad? Could it be that he was all right, Satan entered him in Jerusalem? Could it be he did it for the cash? Or could it be because he wanted to force Jesus' hand and he wanted to make Jesus a military ruler? 5 theories for you, and there are probably others. At the end of the day, though, folks, we don't know. All we know that we know what he did, and we know the ultimate result. We also know that having betrayed Jesus, he then realised the error of his ways and took his own life. We know as he realised he'd made a terrible mistake, as I say, tried to give the money back, and took his own life because of it. So it's got a very sad ending in that respect. So we don't know why, and you can speculate at home, and you can have a think over your breakfast this morning about what you think happened. Read through yourself and form your own opinion. I suppose the ultimate thing, though, which I think we need to take from this, is that Jesus was betrayed, and he was betrayed by one of his closest friends. If you want to know a description of it, if you want the Old Testament prophecy, Psalm 41 puts up. He talks about being betrayed by what he calls a close bosom friend, somebody who that ate meals together, and that it was one of Jesus's closest friends who gave him away, who betrayed him when it came to it. Now, when Jesus went to the cross and gave his life for us, he encountered the full might of human hostility. He encountered the full weight of human sin and hurt and pain, betrayal and death, and that betrayal was part of it. And that he's experienced the full gamut of human suffering. And that we've, I'm sure, all been betrayed at some point in our lives, and there are times when we all feel betrayed. And Jesus understands that feeling because he's been there too. And part of the passion, the suffering of Jesus, was that he encountered betrayal. And he knows what it feels like because he's been there. Because Jesus has been there, he's given his life, he's suffered and he's died. But you know why he did it? He did it because he loves us. God bless you and have a lovely day.